you had some influences that came into your life that's sparking this person that you are today. What influence from, I would say, not the religious view, but outside the religious view that you think that really had an impact on how spiritually you are today as a person?
Um, I think Rastafari and reggae
Mm,
culture, and this
okay.
amazing individual we know, it's Bob Marley. I
Bob
think that,
Marley,
yeah, that
love it.
entire culture, right? I used to have really long hair, by the way, Adrian, may not look like it now. But back in the day before I was overcome with my genetical condition of balding. Um, but reggae and Rastafari culture had a massive influence on my life. And when most people say that, especially most adolescent people, you initially think that that comes with the smoking of marijuana and the smoking of herb and the cool factor that comes with all of that. Well, I was never into that.
Mm,
I always viewed herb as a sacrament
mm,
through this lens of Rastafari. And that is one of the reasons I never became a habitual smoker of marijuana. I was
mhm.
never against it, but I saw it through a different lens. I never saw it as a social thing to do. It was something that should be done in ritual and prayer. But what I can tell you is this word privilege comes up again because it's important for me, right? I also grew up in a very financially comfortable household and a very upscale neighborhood. And what reggae music did for me, what reggae culture did for me, was expose me to reality outside of my bubble,
There we go.
right? And how I talk about privilege, Adrian, is this. I think, privilege is almost a bad word. And when I was younger, it was a bad word. I didn't want to tell people my name. I didn't want to tell people where I lived because I did not want to be seen as different or other or stush or spoiled. I wanted to be part of the collective of everyone else. And there was a lot of shame around my privilege. Back then, I only saw larger labels of privilege, right? Which were really money and race. I didn't really have the presence of mind to acknowledge all the other aspects of privilege. But here's the thing about privilege. Privilege is just an advantage.
Mhm,
And we all have privileges.
mhm.
And if we don't own our privilege, then it owns us.
Whoa.
Then, then that means our privilege doesn't benefit anyone else but us and our inner circles.
Mm,
But if we can acknowledge that privilege is not a bad thing, no one chose to be born into certain circumstances, then we see privilege as somewhat of a gift, but it comes with responsibility.
mm.
Because when we acknowledge our privilege, with that, if we're really paying attention, it comes with a responsibility to dissolve the very circumstances that created our privilege in the first place.
Wow.
It comes with a responsibility to serve something bigger, right?
Mhm.
So I think for me, the influence of reggae and Rastafarian culture, along with the influences and understanding of the teachings of Christ outside of organized religion, molded me to understand that I had a responsibility to serve something bigger than myself.
Mm. The purpose behind things, and I like that. And when I think of Bob Marley, I think of sun is shining, the weather is sweet. I can't really sing it like he can, but that's popping in
Yeah.
my head right now. And back to you were saying how you had the dreads and everything. And here's what I believe. People may laugh at me as saying this though. I think truthfully, I've been researching this. Every person, particularly men in general, who have very strong thoughts and they're connected to this higher source, if you
Mhm.
notice, they don't have much hair on their head. So this is my philosophy. The thoughts are so powerful, they're burning through the skull.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you think about that, but that's just my take on that. But anyway, I want to get back to this idea of, like you were saying, privilege. And I like how you
Mhm.
said that the Rastafarian music allows you to see things outside your bubble. but your life wasn't always perfect. Yes, you had a great loving family, but you also, like most people, younger people, you got into some trouble here and there. And I think there was a moment where you got into detention, as most kids
Yeah.
would do. And there's this teacher that gave you a special book that helped change that perspective for you. So I want to go to this story here.
Hmm.
First off, Troy, why did you get into detention? What happened?
Well,
And
I don't.
two, this teacher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a really funny story, Adrian. Really special story.